Okay. So in the last session, we started talking about conditions. And what we said was, so far, our program was more of a sequential manner going line by line. But there are occasions where you have to choose, okay, based on some condition, you need to choose that, okay, if condition is so and so, I want to, it's like this, when you go out of your home, you're going to college or you're going to movie, right? If I'm going to movie, I have to take this left road. If I'm going to college, I'll take this right road, right? So you have to make a decision, right? That's exactly like crossroad. Okay, we are at crossroad. At crossroad, you need to take a particular road based on your requirement, what you want to do, right? And that exact concept we do in conditions. So what we have seen is if we have just one condition to handle, okay, we use if. Now, if is always followed by a condition. Okay, and this condition will always, okay, will always result into true or false. There is no third other value possible. So sometimes, and we'll see mostly in the loops, what we do is we directly write true if you want to go true. Okay. If I always want to take left road, okay, then by default you can say left, right? Something like that. But for now, okay, what we are saying is that if is the command that is used to check condition, and if is always followed by condition which will result in either true or false, no other third value possible. Now, if it results in true, okay, if it results in true, that's when you go inside the if condition. If it result in false, then you don't. Okay, if it results, okay, if it results in true, only then it goes inside if. If it is not, if it is, let's say, false, then you don't go inside if, right? So let's take an example here. Now, I want to see, okay, okay. Let's say I want to check num1 equal to 50 and num2 equal to, let's say, 70. Okay. Now, what I want is if num1 is greater than num2, only then I want to perform something. Okay. I'm just looking for a good example. Okay. So if num1 is greater, then I want to print how are you. Okay, some random example. Okay, don't get into the meaning of this. So if num1 is greater, then I want to print how are you. Otherwise, I don't want to do anything. Okay, otherwise do nothing. Okay, otherwise do nothing. Okay, so now I said this is a condition, right? If this is so, then do this. Otherwise, do whatever, right? Nothing or something or whatever, right? Doesn't matter. So in this case, you have to write if, and if has to be small. If num1 greater, okay, so again here you have three possibilities: greater, less than, and equal to. Question is very clear. Question says num1 is greater. If num1 is greater, okay, than num2, okay. So if num1 is greater, very clear, right? Even if it's equal to, then I don't want to do it. It has to be greater. Okay. So if num1 greater than num2, this is how you write greater sign, and this is how you check the condition. If condition colon. Colon indicates end of the condition and beginning of if block. Okay. If block is like if territory. Okay. And this is where you will use indentation. We have not used indentation before, right? Well, in condition, you use indentation to indicate that this line of statement, which I'm going to write, belongs to if. Okay. So print, what did we say? We said that, okay, if num1 is greater than num2, then I want to print how are you. print how are you. Okay, otherwise do nothing. So I'm not doing anything. Okay, now you see this line. Okay, we are giving indentation. Generally we give one tab space, but you can give even one space is enough for Python to know what you want to do. Okay, but one single space may not be that visible to the naked eyes, right? Sometimes we miss it. That's why we give tab, or more than tab also you can give, but that might not look good in terms of formatting. So that's why best is to use one tab. So for first line, if this condition if has multiple lines, okay, if I want to print something else also, how are you, where are you going, for example, let's say. Now these two belongs to if, right? Now these two statements, so first line, okay, you have a choice whether you want to give one tab space, one single space, or 50 spaces. But for second line, you have no choice but use same number of spaces. If I used a tab here, you need to use tab here as well. You have no other option but to use tab. Okay. So num1 greater than num2, print how are you. Okay, print where are you going. Now all these are inside if. Now I want to print something which is outside. I have to come back to the very first line, right? And I'll say thank you, for example. Now when you run this P1, okay, so you see this thank you is printed. These lines are not printed because num1 is not greater than num2, isn't it? So num1 is not greater than, that's why it's not printed. Now, if I make it 70, even then this will be resulting into false. 70 is not greater than 70. So when you run it, okay, it says thank you. It doesn't go inside this. Now, if I say 70.00001, okay, now when you run it, so see, okay, it went inside because 70.00001 is greater than 70, isn't it? So now the condition becomes true and it takes you inside if, and whatever you have written inside is printed onto your screen. Makes sense here? Okay. Now, let's say, okay, there may be a situation where you want to do something else. Okay. Okay. Same thing. Okay. I'll say here, if num1 is greater than num2, then I want to print how are you. Otherwise, print do nothing. Okay. That means you want to print do nothing. So I'm going to copy this part. Okay. Because this part is as it is, right? Now, otherwise, what is meaning of otherwise? Otherwise means if this is false, then do this. That's what otherwise means, right? So if this is false, then do this. Okay. So here I'm going to say else. Else is your otherwise. Okay. Else does not have any condition. Okay. If has condition, if followed by condition, else is not followed by any condition. Okay. The reason being that there is no condition here is because it is by default. Okay. So that means know the condition, then do this. Okay. So default you want to do this. Okay. So we'll say, okay, here print do nothing. Okay. So else is like if no condition is true, nothing else is true, else will be true. Okay. Now here you see condition is true. So you're getting printed. How are you? Where are you going twice? Okay. Now if I make this as, okay, if I make this as 71, let's say. Now again, condition becomes false. Okay. Nothing printed here. This is not printed, but do nothing is printed, right? Because if condition becomes false, So it will automatically go to else. It will automatically go to else, and you have do nothing onto your screen. So this is how else work, and this is what I think we did in the last session. Now building on this, okay, what if you have to deal with multiple conditions? If you have to deal with multiple conditions, for example, input a number from the user and check if it's positive, negative, or zero, right? Zero is neither positive nor negative, right? Okay, so look at the problem statement. It says input a number. Now here we cannot assign a variable just like that, num equal to 50, because you want user to give you the value. So which function do we use to read the value? We use input function to read the value, right? So input function, okay, is used to read the value from the user. So I'm going to say value, okay, or val equal to input. Okay, now when you run input, okay, the cursor will wait for you to enter the value. But as a user, you don't know why the cursor is waiting. Or let's say if you have 10 values to give or 3 values to give, like name, destination, date of travel, origin, okay, phone number, email ID. So you have a lot of things to provide to the program, but okay, just because it is blinking, you don't know what to enter, right? So we need to give this prompt. It's called as prompt. Okay, it's like a helpful text. So I'm going to say enter a number. So this will appear, because I'm giving in text format quotation, this will appear as it is onto your screen. This is going to appear as it is onto your screen. And when it appears onto your screen, okay, you know what you need to do, isn't it? So if I run here, okay, it says enter a number because this exact text got printed here. So I know, okay, I need to enter a number here. You can say enter your name, enter your destination, enter your travel date, enter your origin or whatever, right? So here I know I need to enter 45. Okay. Is there anything wrong here? Is there something that we are not doing it right? Okay. So yes, there is something wrong here, isn't it? What is wrong here is when you read value using input, okay, since Python cannot understand, cannot predict what you want to read as, you want to read as a number or a text or as something else, okay, Python will not know, right? So in that case, what it does is by default, it will read the value as string. So when you use input, you are actually reading the value as a string. You're reading value as a string, okay? Now, when you read value as a string, okay, and here, let's say I want to check if it's positive or negative, okay. Now, values, okay, positive, negative, or zero is only for numbers, not for string. Then we need to do something else. We need to convert this string into integer. So we have also seen a function called type, correct? So if I print the type of data here, okay, we have done these things before. So I'm just showing you the use, okay, showing you how to use these values here. So if I say type of val, right? And when you run it, I enter 78. But what happens? Okay, input will always read input as a string, because everything that you want to enter, like number or boolean or string, can be read as string. Okay, so there's no error that will be thrown if you read a value as a string. So you read as a string, and you can see the type is val. So we need to convert this into number before we perform our logic, right? So you can say value equal to int of value. Int, okay, has a function called int, okay, and this int will convert into integer format. Integer formatted number without decimal. Your float will convert into float without decimal. With decimal. Float is number with decimal. And similarly, you have complex to convert into complex numbers. Boolean bool to convert into Boolean value, which is true and false. Okay. And of course, str also function is this. In case you have a number and you want to convert into a string, you can say str of. So in this case, let's say I want to convert into int, not into float, but let's say int. So I'll say val equal to int of val. So val is the input value, which is in string format. I'm now converting that into integer format using int of. Okay. Or you can also do same thing in the, okay, in this line itself. Okay. So instead of doing it here, I can do it here as well. Right. And what we know that if you can use function inside a function, you can have multiple functions being used inside one another. If you have multiple functions used inside, okay, first we cover innermost function. First, we will have innermost function that will get executed. Then the next outer, finally the outermost function will get executed. So if you look at this data here, so we have input function, which is inside, and then we have int function, which is outside of int, isn't it? So first input will be called, and input will read the value from the user, and then integer will convert into int. So if I say enter number, I say 67. Now you see, it shows class int because it has converted into, this function has converted into integer. So you have class int here. Okay, so this is how you read the input from the user. But hold on, right? We still have to do this part, right? Now here we have three conditions to check. But what we have learned so far is only to check maximum two conditions, right? If you have one condition, this is fine. If you have two conditions, then you have to use if-else. But how do we check three conditions? Okay, three conditions can be checked, okay, using elif. Okay, so you have if is your first condition, like entrance. Okay, to indicate that we are going to use if, you have to use if. So if is always the first condition, and else is always your last condition, because else means otherwise. Okay, if nothing works, then you give me this. Okay, if nothing works, then this is what will happen. That is otherwise. Otherwise, okay, that comes from else, and that is the last condition. So first is if, last is else. So let me write it down here. So I said first is if, last is else, which is otherwise, and in between you have what is called as else if. Okay, so else if of C++ Java is written as elif in Python. And if you have 10 conditions to check, your first will be if, 10th will be else, and in between those 8 conditions are going to be elif. Those 8 conditions are going to be elifs, isn't it? So here we have 3 conditions to check. So first, of course, will be if, last, of course, will be else, and one elif we have to use. So let's see how we can use it. So, okay, val, and I need to check if val is positive or negative. So I'll check first. Oops, sorry. I'll first check if val equal to 0. This is how we do equal to check, isn't it? Okay. So if you remember, greater than, for greater than, less than, greater than, equal to, less than, equal to, and then you have double equal to. Single equal to is assignment, right? This is assigning the value. This is assigning the value. This is assigning the value. Here we are assigning the value to the variable, right? But to check if it is equal to or not, right? Double equal to is to check the equality, right? And if you remember, this is for checking non-equality, right? Inequality. Inequality we use exclamation equal to. So I'm going to check if value equal to 0, then I'm going to say print. Okay, print it's 0. Okay, so we have checked one condition. 2 more conditions needs to be checked. So this elif should start from here. Now I'm checking the second condition, else if. Elif is to check another condition. So first condition is always if. You can't start with elif, but you can have multiple elifs. You can't have more than one if in same block. Okay, if always indicates beginning of the condition. Okay, so we'll see again. We'll take more examples and we'll see that. So here, if I say elif, val less than 0. Elif val less than 0. Okay, less than 0 means you are checking if value is less than 0. So what does that mean? It means I'm checking for negative value, isn't it? I'm checking for negative value. So here, if it is less, then you say print it's negative. So if it is not 0, if it is not negative, then obviously it means it's positive. Only 3 possible values, isn't it? So it's positive. We can add number here. We can add number here too. Okay, so you have if to check. Okay, now if this is true, okay, it will go inside and it will not check all these. See, that's the advantage of, okay, we can say that I could have written 3 different if val equal to 0, okay, something like this. I could have said if val equal to 0, okay, print 0. I could have said, negative. I'll put negative, so less than 0, it's positive. So let's say greater than 0. Okay, so I could have done this, okay, and logically, if you see, both, okay, will give same results. So now if I run this program and enter 0, see, it says it's 0. Both are giving same result. Okay, if I say -5, oops, sorry, -5 is not a number. Okay, that's why it gave error. -5, okay, it's negative number, right? If I just say 8, okay, it will say positive number. So output, both are giving you exact same result. Absolutely no difference between the result. Then which is the preferred way? Should we do this way or should we do this way? Answer is we should do this way. Okay, why? Because these are logically connected in the sense if, elif, else is one single block. And whenever you have if, that means you're creating a different set of block. So this is like 3 different blocks. So for example, here, if the value is 0, for example, if you enter 0, it will check if value equal to 0, true, it says it's 0, and it will not check any of these conditions. It will not check any of these conditions. Because when you write your if block, if, elif, else block, okay, as I said, you can have multiple elif, only one of this condition will work. Only one of the matching condition will work. Okay, there is no way 2 block will work. But in this case, okay, it is going to check here, it's 0, it prints it's 0, but still it's going to check this because these are all new checks. So it's going to check here and going to check here. So this is going to make your program inefficient and slow, isn't it? Even though I got the answer, still you are checking, right? Still you're checking, right? Which is extra burden, extra work. And if you have multiple such code written, then obviously it becomes, it will make your program slow. So this is the preferred way of writing else if. I'll give an example here. Let's say I put equal to 0. Equal to 0, right? And I say equal to 0, right? Now you see, if I enter 0 as value, this is true, and this is also true, isn't it? This is also true, correct? But what did I tell you? Only one condition, first matching condition. So when I run this program and I say enter a number 0, okay, so you see this, okay, it's 0 is printed, okay, because this condition got matched and it is printing it's 0. And rest of the blocks, rest of the statements are ignored, even though this is also true, but this is not going to be executed, okay? Because in elif, else, if, elif, else, only first matching condition is what is counted. So this is the first matching condition, and it says it's 0, and that's it. It doesn't go any further down. But in this case, all three are matching. So, equal to 0, true. Less than equal to 0 is also true. Greater than equal to 0 is also true. So all three values are printed. Okay. Now, depending on the condition, you can decide what to use, isn't it? But, okay, logically, if you see, okay, this is what we would prefer, because we want to print only one value, right? Not all the three. Okay. So this is what is preferred. So that's how if, elif, else is different than writing three different if. Okay. Is that okay? Right? Now, in this case, this is greater than num1 is greater than num2. It's yes, that means you have the appointment. Okay, your appointment, get in. Now, how do you know this is the entrance of the restaurant? Because you have given tab space. Tab space indicate these are here. This is specific to this if. Now, this thank you is starting from beginning. This is public space. So for printing thank you, you don't have to know anything. You don't have to ask permission. You don't have to know anything. You can go there. But these two statements, okay, how are you, where are you going, both are inside the condition, inside if. If it is inside if, then you have no choice but to ask permission. If you get permission, you'll go in. If you don't have permission, you can't get in. Right?
Yeah.
So if this is true, it will go in and execute. If it is not, then you're not allowed to get in. Satvik, Divakar. Divakar, probably you have some exposure, but Satvik, did you understand?
Sir.
He has network problem.
So, sir, like how to know when to give space and when not to give space?
Yes. So when to give space, the thing that you want to do if the condition is true. Okay, this is very much like when you do your Word document, right? You give heading 1, heading 2, heading 3. So it's like asking me, when do I use heading 1? When do I give heading 2? When do I give heading 3? So heading 3 means it is inside heading 2. Heading 2 means it is inside heading 1. And when you give something as heading 2 and heading 2 and heading 2, that means they're at same level. So the block of code, now these block of code has to be executed only when this condition is true. That's why these two has to be inside this. Right? So this has to be inside this. Now, thank you, you want to print it irrespective of, okay, whether it is true or false, irrespective of whether you go inside if or not. So it has to be in the main program. So whatever is the main here, okay, will be printed whether, there's no condition as such, okay, it will be printed. The moment you reach here, it will be printed. But these are inside if. So while this condition is true, you will go inside. Otherwise, you will not go inside. Okay. Okay. So this is clear?
Yeah.
Perfect. 100%. Now, this is clear. Print. Thank you. Okay. Now, again, I'm doing the same thing, right? So this is exactly a repeat of 6, 7, 8. Now I'm adding else condition. Else is like, if the condition is false, then see what I told you, if is followed by condition and the condition is true. Okay, that means if it is true only, you go inside if. Otherwise, you don't go inside, right? So when num2 is greater or num2 is equal, then you don't go inside. Else means if this is false, then go to else. Else is like default condition. Okay, if the if condition is true, go to if, and if condition is false, then you come to else. Default condition. So if this is true, line number 13, if this condition is true, okay, then you will say, how are you, where are you going? And this will not be executed. It's like this. You're getting into your home, okay, or you're getting into a restaurant, okay. It says this is veg section and this is non-veg section, for example. Are you a vegetarian? You say yes. Okay, then you sit here. Then you don't even want to know what is inside non-vegetarian section, isn't it? Else. Are you vegetarian? No. Okay, no means then you will go to second section automatically. Okay, so you're checking the condition and say, okay, you're non-vegetarian. Okay, follow me. Go to else. Else is like default. Right? If is true, then you go to if. You don't want to know even what is inside else. But if his condition is false, then you go and check next condition. Next condition is else here. So else means no. If you are here, you have to go here. There's no other option. There's no question asked here. But unlike, I'll come to input later. Unlike here, okay, here you have three conditions. If, elif, else. So are you vegetarian? No. Are you interested in egg? No. Okay, then you go here. So you have two conditions to check. First condition, second condition, and third condition is default condition. So did you understand this? If else, and if, elif, else? Think and tell me. Yes? Okay. So let's say I want to see, okay, if a number is greater, equal to, or smaller. Okay. Very similar to positive, negative, and equal to, right? Very similar to that. Let's say here, okay, let me write the question. Write a program to take input, we're going to take two inputs from the user and check if the first number is greater, smaller, or equal to the second one. Okay, so you need to read two input value, right? So how do you read two input value? You have to say input, two input you have to say, right? So num1 equal to int of input, enter first number, right? Very similar to what we did before. You are inputting two values. Okay, next. I'll just copy and paste here. I'm saying num2. And num2 is your second number. All good so far? Okay. Now I need to check if num1 greater than num2. You can check anything, okay? Greater than, less than, equal to, right? Three conditions. So we know that we have to use one if, one elif, and one else. So if num1 greater than num2, I will say print, okay? And I'm going to use, print. I'm going to say num1. So you have num1 is greater than, comma, num2. Okay, I have to use comma, right? So I'm using two variables and one fixed statement. So whatever num1 we give, that value will appear here. Okay, num1 is greater than num2. Okay, then elif. Elif, we'll check for less than, let's say. So I'm saying is less than num2. Num1 is less than num2. Okay. Now I'm going to say else, third condition, default condition. So third condition, obviously, we don't have to check. We can directly print that num1 and num2 both are equal, isn't it? Num1 and num2 are equal, right? Num1 and num2 are equal. Now, when you run it, okay, first num 50, second is 70. You see, 50 is less than 70, right? We're checking first num. First num is less than 70. This part of the code is executed. So you're reading two values, num1, num2. Okay, great. Now you're checking this condition. Is num1 greater than num2? No, this is false. So it comes here. Is num1 less than num2? Yes, it is. Then you print this and then you come out of the entire if block. You will not be checking else anyway. Make sense? Okay. Now we'll talk about another example. Okay, we will take little longer program now. I'll put it here. I'll share with guys later. Now I'm writing a program to take marks in 5 subjects as input. Okay, take 5 marks in 5 subjects as input. Calculate total and average and assign grade based on below condition, let's say. Condition is if your average is greater than 85, assign grade A. If average is between 70 and 85, assign grade B. Okay, average is between 60 and 70, you assign grade C. Average is between 50 and 60, grade D. Okay, E is average between 40 and 50, assign grade E. F is average is less than 40. Okay, less than 40, grade F. So how many Elif do we need to use here? How many Elif should we use here? How many conditions we have in total?
Six.
We have 6 conditions, correct? So how many if, how many elif, how many else?
Sorry, can you repeat again?
Yeah, how many if, how many elif, how many else?
If Um, 5 is like if condition.
No, if is always one, right? In a block, you will always use if once and else once. So if and else is always one. First if, last else. In between four, elif,
Okay.
right? So first, let's do the first part. Okay. So I'm going to say marks 1 equal to int of input. You can take float also, right? Because marks will be in float. Let's say float input and input, again a function. Enter the marks in subject 1. Okay. And I need to copy and paste this 5 times. 5 subjects, 5 times. Okay. I'll call this as 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So, okay, great. Now I need to do the total and average, right? So total equal to marks 1 plus marks 5 plus marks 4 plus marks 3 plus marks 2. Okay. So 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. Okay. Now average. Average is total by 5. Perfect. So we can print total marks is marks and average is, okay, total marks is total, right? Not marks. Total marks is total and average is average. Okay. Now, this is how we will print text and values. Now, what we discussed other day was using format string, we can bring the variable also inside the string. Okay, so using format string, okay, or f string, we call it as f string. How do you write f string? You put f here. If you put f before quotation, it becomes format string. Advantage is you do not have to give quotation, close quotation, everything, variable and text can come inside. And you can close it like this. So if you're putting f, you can put entire thing under one quotation. Okay. Okay, great. But when we print it, how will Python know that total is not a text, but it's a variable? So we have to mark it like a variable. How do we mark it like a variable? We will put flower bracket. So flower bracket is a way to indicate to Python, and this is for f string only, okay? To indicate to Python that, okay, that the text that you have inside the curly bracket, flower bracket, is a variable, and don't print as it is, but print its value. Print its value. Okay. Clear everyone what we did? Total marks is, that is inside code. So it will be printed as it is. But since we're using format string, we can put variable also inside the code. But we need to indicate that variable specially with special color or a special sign to indicate that it's not a text, but it's a variable. So that special text is the curly bracket. When you put curly bracket, you are saying that this is a variable which Python needs to replace with the value. So total and AVG are the variables that needs to be replaced with the values. Now, since we started, okay, with float, all these values are going to be float. All these values are going to be float. Now, if these are going to be float, okay, it's better that we give it a decimal spaces, right? Otherwise, average could be like 53.728728728, correct? Now, average, let's assign maximum 1 decimal point. Okay, or 2 decimal point. Let's have 2 decimal point. So, in format string, you can format using colon 0.2f, indicating that left of colon is the variable which value we want to print, and right of colon is the format parameter. Okay. Okay. So these are done using your format string. So the text is printed as it is. The variable that you have, okay, is marked in curly bracket. Variable is marked in curly bracket, which is first part. Now I want to format, since these are float, it can take any number of variables, right? Sorry, any number of values after decimal, but I want to restrict it to maximum of 2 places, or exactly, not maximum, exactly to 2 places, 2 decimal places. So to do that formatting, you need to put colon. Colon will separate the variable and the formatting parameter. So left of colon is your variable, and right of colon is your formatting parameter. I'm saying 0.2f. That means 2 decimal places are 2 places after point decimal. 0.2, okay? 2 places after decimal. F is format. Okay, so 0.2f, and average is 0.2f. Okay, so I'm formatting the text. Great. Now I need to calculate the grade, right? So condition is if, always start with if AVG is greater than equal to 85, then you print grade A, right? I'm going to copy this text. So this is your first condition. If average is more than 85, greater than or equal to 85, you print grade A. Elif, average is greater than 70, print grade B. Now you see here, I'm only doing greater than 70, I'm not doing less than 85, because if it is more than 85, first part of if will anyway get executed. What did we say? That it's always the first matching condition that gets executed. It's always the first matching condition that gets executed. The first matching condition here is your average greater than equal to 85. So in case if the average is more than 85, the line number 21, 22 will not be even called, because line number 19 is the first matching condition. Line number 22 will be called only when the if condition does not match. That means you have got less than 85. So when it is less than 85 only, you will go to 21. You will not go to 21 if it is more than or equal to 85. So there is no need for us to check for less than 85, because if it is less than 85 only, it will come to you. Isn't it? Your shop is second shop. Your second shop, that means somebody has to go to the first shop to come to your shop. If someone has come to you, that means that fellow did not like the product at the first shop. Your shop is second. Why will somebody come to your shop? Only if they don't like the first shop, only then it will come to you. If they don't like your shop, they'll go to third shop. Okay, but they'll not go back to the first shop again. So this is your grade B here. Okay, when more than 70. Now we said 60 to 70. Same thing. Okay, it will go to third condition or your second elif only if your average is less than 70. So we don't have to check for less than 70. This should be always equal to, right? Average greater than equal to 60 is your grade C. Elif average greater than equal to 50, grade D. Elif average greater than equal to 40, grade E. Now what we said is less than 40. Obviously, okay, if none of the condition match, you're checking for more than 85, more than 75, sorry, more than 70, more than 60, more than 50, more than 40. If none of them meet, or if none of them is true, or none of the condition is true, obviously it means it is less than 40. So you don't have to check for that condition. You can simply say print grade equal to F. Clear? Please let me know. 45, 65, 90, 99, 98. Now you see your average is 79.4. 79.4 means less than 85 but more than 70. That is your grade B. So grade B. With me, guys. Yes or no? Okay, so we'll write one more program to read to write a program to read length and breadth from the user and check if it's square or rectangle and calculate area and perimeter. Okay, so let's first read the length. So input, enter the length, then you say enter the breadth. Okay. Now, first thing first, your length and breadth has to be greater than 0. Right? Otherwise, it's not a rectangle or a square. So if length is greater than 0 and breadth is greater than 0, not even equal to. So if length and breadth is greater than 0, if length and breadth is greater than 0, so and is an logical operator. Okay, so and or not, these are logical operators. And or are, okay, let me write it here. And or, okay, so I'll write like this. And or are logical operator which connects your conditional statements. So here we see we are using first condition, which is length greater than 0. And second condition is breadth greater than 0. And means what? If, okay, if both the statements are true, it will be true, otherwise false. So, and both the statements need to be true for true. else it's false. Or both the statements need to be false for false, else it's true. That means here, okay, and what did we say? If this is also true, if this is true and this is also true, if this is true and this is also true, that's when entire thing will be true. Okay, even if one condition is false, if both are false, it is false. Even if one is false, entire thing is false. And means, okay, so and you have one condition before and one condition after. Okay, just like plus, when you say 5 plus 3, so plus will have one number on the left, one number on the right, and you say 5 plus 3 means 8. Similarly, and is an operator, okay, logical operator, which connects two conditions. So first condition is true, second is also true, that's when and will be true. Otherwise, and will be false. There are four possibilities here, isn't it? This can be true or false. This can be true or false. So total you have four possibilities. True, 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 false, false, true, false, false. Out of all these four conditions, only three, okay, three will give you false and only one will give you true. So for it to be either square or rectangle, first the length and breadth both should be more than 0. If any one of them is 0, okay, or both are 0 or negative, then it's not possible to form a square or rectangle. So I'm saying that length and breadth both have to be greater than 0. Now you tell me, I'm saying print rectangle. Okay, I'm not doing calculation. I'm saying rectangle and square both possible. Okay, else, okay, neither rectangle nor square possible. Okay, neither rectangle nor square possible. With me? That means, okay, at least one of them is 0 or less than 0, negative. So sides cannot be negative, right? If it is, then rectangle, square are not possible. So when you run this program now, okay, the length is 6, but breadth is 0. Neither rectangle nor square possible. Okay. Now here if I say 5 and here I say 9, now you run rectangle and square both possible, right? Now both possible, now we have to check. Now see if it is possible, only then we are checking if it is rectangle or square, right? So if, now this if is inside the main if, so it's like one more door you have inside your home, one more locker, one more check. Okay, so check. Now here I'm going to check if length equal to breadth, then we know that it is square. Okay, if both are equal, it is square, else it is rectangle. Else print a rectangle. Now if it is square, then I'll calculate area and perimeter. F area is, okay, and I'm putting F, right? So I can put this bracket here. Area is length into length, because both are same, so it doesn't matter, right? Length into length, or you can say length star star 2. 1 star is multiplication, 2 star is power. So you say length star star 2, length square. Star star means to the power 2, right? So length star star means length to the power of. Now we're writing 2, so it is 2. So it is length square. And the perimeter is, okay, 4 into your side, 4 into length, 4 times length. This is your area, right? Now for rectangle, okay, it is length into breadth. Sorry, length into breadth. And perimeter is 2 times, okay, this many formula you have to remember, not difficult. length plus breadth. That's it. Okay, so let's run this. And when I say 5 and 5, it's a square. And area is 25, perimeter is 20. Now when I run it, I give 6 and 5. Okay, area is 30 and perimeter is 22. Okay, now let's look at the program. We are reading the two value. We are checking if length and breadth possible or not. It is possible only we perform all this. If it is not possible, we'll directly say, sorry, it's not possible. Okay, so it is possible. So checking the condition, both length and breadth should be positive value. Okay, then okay, you get in. Then you check if length and breadth are equal. Double equal to is for equal to sign. When both are equal, you go inside this. If they are not, then it means it's a rectangle, isn't it? And you go to else. And then you calculate the area and perimeter. Okay, calculate the area and the perimeter. Okay, so this is how you can perform what is called as nested if, nested condition, condition inside condition. Okay, so I just introduced the concept. Tomorrow again, we will look at some examples here. How to write condition inside condition. Make sense? So we'll stop here for today. Please practice these questions and we'll see you tomorrow same time.